Hi, Allison. How you doing? Okay, so when I answered the first part of your video, I had said that I'd wanted to just answer your question because there were so many other things that I felt were parallel. I wanted to share with you that I'd have to make another video. So this is one. I hope it'll just be one. And what they had to do with are what I call threads of orthodoxy, and I've made different videos about it, sometimes telling some details and others, but I'll just direct them towards the things that I felt were similar to you. And the first one being called to a monastic life of some sort, knowing that you wanted to be a nun from a very young age. One of the first memories I have of I was aged like 4 or 5. I think I was 5 because I was put into kindergarten a year early, so I might have been 4. And this was at the Bernard Harwich Center, if you know where the JCC is. The basement of it used to be a satellite school for Hillel Torah, and then it only went from like kindergarten and first grade, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, and then after that, from second grade on, I was bussed out to Skokie. So imagine me walking around there and doing this. I was walking with my friend, and we had little ponchos, and we had flipped them back over our heads, and she was saying that hers were like her hair. And I said, no, we're nuns. And she got very upset with me, and she said that we couldn't be nuns, and that because they believe other things, and that we wouldn't be Jewish anymore, and this and that. And she said, you can't do that. I said, no, they're not. Not all Catholic, Roman Catholic. And while I don't think I knew about like even Buddhist nuns, and I know I'd only ever seen representations of Roman Catholic nuns, there was something about it that I knew was true. And I mean, I even remember it as from a kid, that little walk I had talking with her. Even as an adult, 40 some odd years later, I still remember this. So when you talk about it, different times of life being called to a monastic life, I understand that. And you were talking about, after people have their children and such. I know that there is a tradition in Orthodoxy, particularly for Matushkas to, after their priest husband has passed, to take up life in a convent. So I know that that's true also if you've become divorced and you don't have any home, responsibilities if your children have grown. And I could totally see myself, if whenever, God forbid, what my husband passes, that I would do that. And that's something that, yeah, I know what you mean when it's like you want to go home, you want to relax, and that's where it feels the best, is doing that kind of specific sort of prayer life, that prayer rule they talk about. That I get that. So the next two are they include Yusuf, because I can't talk about Orthodoxy without bringing up how instrumental. So and they both have to do with icons. I was so touched when you talked about how Mother came through the icon to you. I can't tell you how much that blessed me, just even to hear that story of your experience. So I've had nothing so similar, but I have had intense experiences, and so I'll tell you two. One is of a specific icon. There was a time on John the Hut Dweller when he was teaching, how to read icons, and so he would show different portions of them. So he had shown this one of the Annunciation, and as soon as I saw it, it was burned into my brain. It was as if a slide, like from a slide machine where they project it, was like put into my brain behind my eyes. And so everything that I looked at beyond my vision had that in front of it. I would see her and the angel when I was meditating, when I was driving, when I was talking, when I was doing anything else, it pushed so hard. I mean, it was like, it was painful to a point almost, and it remained for a very long time. And so it freaked me out because I had never really thought about icons of any kind, and I was, barely a Christian, maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks from that time or something. I don't recall. But so I just thought, gosh, how am I going to get this out of my head? This is, it was practically like a migraine. So I said to him, hey, would you tell me which one this is? And my thinking was, okay, if I get this thing in my house, maybe that'll cease. Well, so there's these bunch of videos where he's like putting off one or another. It's like, is this it? And I'll say no. And he kept doing it. Like there were like 5 or 6 of them. He was being so nice to try to help me figure out which one this was. So we finally figured it out, and it's the one that is my avatar icon on Catalyst Ruth. So I did get it, and I got it, and I bought it. I got it in my house. So it did kind of happen that then I was like, I can't take this in my head anymore. It's too painful. And yes, it did kind of go away when I finally could look at it and meditate towards it. But as soon as that happened, I had the most horrible, just vacant feeling because she had gone, from where I was seeing. And I was so upset with myself because I had begged, please, this is too painful. I cannot have. And then I was granted that reprieve, and then there I was begging back, please, I miss her so much. And so then the best thing of all was the vision came back, but it was like the best fade in and fade out. Like it was very gentle and really easy. And I was like, this I can live with. So I do believe our gods are alive. I really do. There's no question to me. I once asked, after I had venerated on the left side of the iconostasis, I asked Mother, I said, I won't say exactly what I said, but I had asked, how may I more honor your son? And I don't even know if it was an auditory or if it was just an understanding or if it was feeling that my left arm go back behind me. And I understood exactly what that meant because in Middle Eastern culture, the left hand. So I was like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. And so from now on, whenever I approach an icon, particularly of Christ, I always put my left hand behind. When I was, let's see, 21, my sister and I were in a library at Indiana University in Bloomington. And my sister is Christian, okay? She always has been. And we were looking at old plates, like in books of, artwork actually. And amongst that was the Polish Black Madonna, and we were like floored seeing this thing. We were like, what in the world is going on? And I remember we were just looking at her totally aghast. And by the way, that's one of Yusuf's favorites, and he has it in his, I don't want to say a collection, but in his icon corner. And I remember her saying, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. But if I was ever a Christian, I'd be that kind of Christian. She flipped out because she knew that was so out of character for me to say, being Jewish, and I've never had any interest in Christianity of any kind. And I have to cut this off because it's going to cut me off. So there's some of them. There's more though. And peace on your heart. Thanks for listening.